Hey guys, I apologise for the slightly clickbaity title, but firstly I am non-existent on this platform, so it's unlikely anyone will notice. And secondly, this was an opportunity to do a video that I didn't end up doing, which was, I was going to do a video on how bad the loot boxes in Shadow of War actually were, and weigh up on whether or not they actually did affect gameplay at all. I wrote a review of the game for my blog, link in the description. It is still down there, isn't it? YouTube may change its layout at any time, but yeah, I wrote a review of it. I played it a bunch more since then for reasons that are in there, and I'll also get into a bit later. But yeah, I was an early adopter of Middle-earth Shadow of War. This isn't going to be a complaining about loot boxes and how bad they are and how sick I am of them, although I am pretty bloody sick of them, because between people like Jim Sterling, Yong Yeah, TotalBiscuit, that ground is pretty well covered. But if it does turn out you want to see that stuff from me, I'll happily add my voice to the chorus of being sick of loot boxes, or predatory monetization strategies in games in general, not just loot boxes. So I bought the game more or less not on but near release day. It was the same week. I wasn't going to, but I got the idea to, I got a phone upgrade on my contract, and I got the idea to trade the old one in. The phone store themselves offered me like less than half of what game did, which I found funny. I wish I'd have kept my old phone, to be honest, as the new one is a bit crap in comparison and I probably could have got more money for it. But anyway, it gave me more than enough to buy Shadow of War brand new. And I was a huge fan of Shadow of Mordor. In spite of its flaws, it was a really enjoyable game. And I enjoyed Shadow of War too, although, you know, the Nemesis system was let down by the loot box system, but again, this isn't about that. This is just about my experience, and well, it is about that. It's about how they affected the game, and I'm curious as to what the game is like now that the marketplace at least is not in it, or is not going to be. I mean, I don't have the game anymore, and I don't see myself picking it up again, but it's still something I'm curious about. Did all the DLC come out yet, by the way? And was it any good? Someone let me know. So anyway, yeah. How bad were the war chests, I suppose you could call them, in Shadow of War? The simple answer to that is they weren't too bad if you were aware of how pointless they were. Because they did not need to be there. Even if you overlook how easy it was to lose your orc captains or to find more ones, anything you got out of a war chest was tailored to your level at the time you got it out. So even if you got something really good out of one, you'd outgrow it within the hour unless you were at the level cap, in which case there wasn't really much need for war chests. And also, there were ways to get enough Mirian over time to buy them from the marketplace, or at least the basic ones, without spending any money. I basically 100%ed the game and didn't spend a penny. But it took me a long time to do. Longer than it should have done, actually, because I got to about 80%. I was like halfway through Shadow Wars at the time. I think I was about there. And there was a power cut in my room here that lasted, and I kid you not, less than a second, but I turned on my PS4 again, and I loaded up the game, and my save file was gone. That was, like, I think it was at least 80 hours, but, of grinding and, you know, collectible finding. I had just about found all of them, except a couple of Shelob memories, and it was just gone. So you can imagine I was a bit annoyed. But then I started again, and I noticed that I had some XP boosts, and I hadn't used any because it hadn't really occurred. I didn't know on my first playthrough how to use them and I never tried to, because I thought I was doing all right without them. I'd save them for when I thought I needed them, like higher up, and I'd got to about level 55 at the time anyway. So yeah, I had about 6 XP boosts that I had got from daily challenges, story quests. I bought them with gold coins I also got from daily challenges. I didn't spend a penny on the game, but I had about 6 XP boosts, as I say. And I thought, hang on, I'll try just going through the story missions again, but with XP boosts active, see what happens. And because of more daily challenges to get more gold to buy more XP boosts, I managed to play through the entire story mode and all of the missions with constant double XP. And because of that, I didn't need to grind at all. Like, by the time I got to the end of the game, I was basically either on or near the level cap of 60. So essentially, the only thing that really impacts your progress throughout the game is the XP boost. Guess what the only thing you couldn't buy with Miriam was? Because of course. The first time around the game was bloody grindy. I say I 100%ed it, I didn't quite. There was one sort of orc outpost left that I just could not get to appear. I think it was in Minas Morgul. I tried to make it spawn for so long, but then I was like, I was at, what, 98, 99%? I thought, fuck it, I'm calling that done. And I hadn't picked the game up since. I've since traded it in. But yeah, this isn't a review, this is just me describing what Shadow of War used to be like, because Warner Brothers doesn't really want you to remember that it deliberately sabotaged the quality of its own game to shoehorn in a marketplace that they only took out after they'd finished milking it dry. Okay, I promised this wasn't going to be one of those videos, but that's where I'm going. Yeah, without spending extra money on the game, it was a bloody hell of a grind. And I didn't mind that. It gave me something to do with my hands and eyes while listening to podcasts and stuff. So, wasn't really a problem for me, and I enjoyed the gameplay enough that I was quite happy to grind with it. So I still enjoyed the game quite a bit, and I still would have recommended it if you liked Shadow of Mordor. But the loot boxes were an unfortunate, shall we say, an unfortunate attachment. And I say that because they made the captains that you could dominate and fight with a lot more disposable. And I saw a lot of comments saying, oh, they don't impact the game at all, but I wish it wasn't so grindy. And I think there's a bit of a disconnect there. I'm not calling anyone dumb or saying I'm smarter. These people that made these comments that I saw in forums and what have you obviously saw that the loot boxes didn't really matter and that you didn't really need them. Again, anything you got out of them was the same level as you were at the time you opened it, so there was no reason to ever open them because you'd pick up similar equipment anyway. And unless you were at the level cap, in which case you would have found some probably better equipment and legendary stuff as well. Yeah, that's another thing. Finding legendary equipment, you'd best not do that until pretty late in the game unless they've retooled that as well. You know, the Bright Lord armor that you get for finding all of the, I forget what you call them now, the runes, the elvish runes to finish the poems on the doors. You get Celebrimbor's set of armor. I deliberately held off on doing that until I had hit the level cap because I wanted it to be as strong as possible. Because I really liked that armor and I didn't like that I'd outgrown it. And I outgrew it quickly. Because even without XP boosts, a level up's a level up and they come not too slowly. Well, until you get to a pretty high level anyway. But yeah, Shadow of War was a good game for me even back then. So I am sort of tempted to look at it again and see, you know, what's changed. But why? It was so long ago. Unless the DLC is really good. Like, I'm gonna have to look into that. Anyway, I hope someone got something out of this, or at least found it relatable. If you want the review, I'll post a link in the description. And yeah, that was just my thoughts on what the game used to be like. I'd love to hear what it's like now, anything that's changed. Oh, something I forgot to mention. Those gems that boosted your stats, it took way too long to upgrade them. And there was no way to do it faster. I think that was there to just make it more palpable that the level climb would be a grind. Still, I don't mind grind fests. I play a lot of RPGs. Anyway, yeah, that was my experience with Shadow of War. TLDR. The loot boxes were to the detriment of the game. Not as much as they could have been, but it's made even worse by the fact that even if you used them, you didn't really get much out of it. Just because of the chained to your level thing. But I suppose even if it wasn't chained to your level, it would be a random level, which would make it even more... Loot boxes are bad, basically, in my opinion. Or at least I can't think of an example where they would be good. But yeah, that was my experience with Shadow of War. I didn't script this, so it was probably really rambly. But I hope someone among you found this somewhat relatable. I probably won't pick up the game again. But that said, I am curious. Maybe I'll wait for it to go on sale or something. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye guys.